We're excited that you're interested in serving as a peer reviewer for the Institute of Education Sciences, or IES. IES is the nation's premier source for research, evaluation, and statistics that can help educators, policymakers, parents, and other stakeholders improve outcomes for all students. This video provides an overview of what you can expect as a peer reviewer during the grant application review process. We'll be describing the general processes related to two of IES's centers, the National Center for Education Research, or NCER, and the National Center for Special Education Research, NCSER. We seek scholars, scientists, and experts who are able to objectively assess these applications. It's an exciting and extremely important endeavor, and we're glad you want to be part of it. Let's get started.
Activities begin each year when NCER and NCSER release one or more requests for applications, often referred to as RFAs. An RFA is the document that applicants use to respond to all submission guidelines, and what you as the reviewer use as your point of reference for your review, critique, and scoring. As applications come in, the Standards and Review Office staff at IES begin screening them to determine which submissions meet all the compliance and responsiveness criteria that are laid out in the RFA. Those that don't meet these requirements will not move forward for peer review. Once you are officially assigned to a peer review panel, one of your first tasks is to log on to Primo, our peer review information management online system. First, you review and sign the panel member agreement, which is our confidentiality and non-disclosure policy. Keep in mind that everything you review is confidential and cannot be discussed with anyone who is not involved in the review process, before, during, or even after the panel meetings. In Primo, you then navigate to the Declare COIs module. Here you see every application assigned to your panel, as well as the institutions and individuals submitting the application. It's very important that you carefully review this information, as you must identify if you have any conflicts of interest. There are several types of COIs that could arise, each with implications concerning your review assignments. If you have a potential COI, the IES staff reviews your declaration and either confirms that your COI is valid, that your declaration does not rise to the level of a COI, or we may ask for additional information to make that determination. Once all panel members have declared their COIs, each reviewer is assigned about 8 applications to review, but don't worry, you'll be given a reasonable timeline for your reviews. It's important, however, that you pay close attention to your deadlines to ensure the entire application review process stays on track. For the applications assigned to you, you are considered a primary reviewer. There are at least 2 primary reviewers per application. However, depending upon the type and scope of research being proposed, up to 4 primary reviewers may be assigned. As a primary reviewer, you are required to evaluate each application on its own merit. Do not compare it to other similar applications. Appraise it on its own strengths and weaknesses. As part of the review process, you are asked to write a critique for each of your assigned applications. This includes an overall description of the application, an evaluation of its proposed approaches, and a summary of its overall scientific merit. Current estimates show that reviewers typically spend between 3 to 5 hours reviewing each application. In addition to your written critique, you are scoring each application in 2 ways. Criterion scores are based on how well the submission met each of the application criteria, and an overall score summarizes your assessment of the quality of the application. As you complete your review, critique, and scoring, you post these results on Primo. Once reviews and scores are submitted in Primo, the IES Standards and Review Office begins the triage process. This involves rank ordering all of the applications reviewed by the panel based on their initial average overall scores and identifies the most competitive applications that will move forward for panel discussion. For a panel that initially reviews 60 to 80 applications, the 15 to 20 most positively scored applications move forward for panel discussion. Upon completion of the triage process, IES staff notifies reviewers regarding which applications are moving on to the panel discussion. It's important you familiarize yourself with all of the remaining applications to be discussed, read your colleagues' critiques, and acknowledge their scores. And you should note that if one of your reviewed applications was not selected for panel review, and you feel like it has significant scientific merit and deserves to be considered by the full panel, you'll have an opportunity to nominate it back into consideration. The last thing that happens prior to the panel discussion is that the IES Standards and Review Office assigns you as either the first, second, third, or fourth reviewer for one or more of your applications, meaning you'll either lead the presentation of your findings to the panel or be the second or subsequent reviewer to speak. You may also be assigned as a synthesizer to take discussion notes and write a summary on other applications during the panel discussion. Next, you'll attend your panel meeting. Another video in this series on the peer review panel contains more information about what you can expect during an actual panel meeting.
Participating on these IES peer review panels is a great way to give back to the education research and practice communities. They're also fantastic ways to learn about the process should you ever decide to seek your own research grant. Most importantly, though, they help IES direct valuable resources to those endeavors best positioned to advance our knowledge and make a difference in the world. Thank you.
For more information, visit the peer review page of the Institute of Education Sciences website at ies.ed.gov/director/SRO.